From her over-the-top Wonder Woman persona to her questionable loyalty to the team, here's the real reason why NCIS's Ziva David is such an overrated character. She was one of the ultimate fan-favorite characters from the show, but that's not to say she was without faults. Some people think the character came across as indestructible. The girl was an intense, battle-hardened warrior with a stone-like attitude. But honestly, I can see where that comes from. Agent David belonged to an intelligence family, had served 3 years in the Israeli army, had even become a feared assassin for Mossad, who was able to drop bodies in a second. Yep, that was her reputation. She was a total badass. But here's where things get a little hard to digest. She might have been overdoing the Slayer vibe. Before y'all fans come at me for saying that, I know she's portrayed as this strong, independent woman, but sometimes it felt like the show hyped her up way more than she deserved. I mean, this dialogue, for example, does she need a weapon? She is the weapon. Excuse me. A fierce spy or not, she was still human, right? Stuff like this made the viewers believe that the show had turned Ziva into a superhuman, like Wonder Woman. But even the Amazonian loosened up sometimes. This former Mossad agent, on the other hand, mostly remained uptight. Most of the NCIS gang always had some inside jokes going on, but this one didn't join in on the fun. Forget participating, sometimes she didn't even get the jokes. That was a popular running gag on the show, making it seem like the agent couldn't understand basic American slang, but it rubbed some watchers the wrong way, because NCIS used this as comedic relief. Let's be real, if that happened today, this CBS show would have been slammed. Making someone struggling with English the butt of a long-standing joke sounds mighty offensive, and saying the makers overdid it is an understatement. More often than you'd count, Mossad's liaison officer ended up exaggerating, overpronouncing words, and misusing simple idioms. Given her ethnic roots, that was understandable. But going overboard with that sort of humor took the attention away from her strengths, making her seem rather silly. Also, there's a weird twist in this debate. Ziva's early life flashbacks showed her talking in English with her father, so if she's been speaking the language since she was a kid, shouldn't she be better at it? Reddit users think so, and they'd a lot to say. One of them ranted about the language mistakes, calling it Officer David's irritating quirks. More people had chimed in, saying that she was learning English isn't a valid excuse, it's just her being annoying. Another one added their 2 cents, claiming it's crystal clear some of her English slip-ups were obvious for the joke mistakes. Okay, then we've got some strong opinions here, but if you flip the coin, her mispronunciation quirks grew on some viewers. The majority found this endearing in the beginning, and some of them still do, but for others, it quickly got old and unbearable after a couple of seasons. It seems like there's a difference of opinions here, but even some of Ziva's diehard fans got annoyed at this next issue. Her Mossad roots kept stealing the limelight. The NCIS writers need to chill. The viewers understood that she was an Israeli agent. Reminding them again and again and again was simply overkill. The character was first introduced on the show as a Mossad handler for a terrorist, Ari Haswari, wreaking havoc on Team NCIS, and surprise, surprise, he was her half-brother too. After she dealt with him, she stayed in America, and you'd think she would face new challenges in an unknown country. But nope. Her Mossad label stuck to her like a bad sticker and kept coming up in everything she did. For a while, it made sense because it was her background, right? But bringing in more conflicts and characters from her past seemed like they were just dragging the story. Some folks even said that it felt like a Mossad series, not NCIS. What's more is that things just spiraled out of control in Ziva's final seasons, where she completely hijacked the show. While her fans loved seeing more of her, you can't forget one thing. NCIS is an ensemble show. There's no one main character. Well, perhaps as the team's notorious leader, Agent Leroy Jethro Gibbs took things up a notch. But even then, he shared an almost equal time in the limelight with the other characters. Tony was the charismatic ladies' man. Timothy McGee played the adorable IT guy and geek. Abby Scudo was even more of a geek, with her bubbly goth girl vibes. Among all of them, Ziva's identity was the no-nonsense fighter. Together, they all balanced each other, but when she started overshadowing the others, the balance broke. Her taking center stage, for a significant amount of time, robbed audiences of other characters. And even if you come to terms with it, there's still one glaring problem. Despite all that screen time, there was no real character growth. The actress Cote de Pablo begrudgingly bid the show farewell in 2013, and get this, the actress walked away for the same reason. Fans were so bummed when she left, but later she let the cat out of the bag, revealing that she wasn't happy with the way her storyline was going. The makers were hell-bent on making her an unfortunate, miserable woman, as she called it. So when David was about to get her happily ever after with Tony and some much-needed emotional growth, the writers planned to return her to square one, aka Israel. Naturally, Pablo wasn't impressed and she took off. But till her gutting exit in season 11, Ziva kept on the same emotionless killer persona. Now, I know some stans would argue there was at least some character development, and yes, I admit, she had her human moments from time to time, but they were far too less and never lasted long. It was like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back with her. Her brief, cuddly moments with Tony were charged with passion. Just imagine if there'd been more of that earlier, the show's rating would have been through the roof. To put it shortly, this character packed massive potential, but the writers never did justice to it. They couldn't take it to the next level like she deserved, so it was probably a smart decision for her to leave. Later, she made a surprise comeback as a guest star in season 17, but the audience didn't like the way it was set up. Even when Pablo wasn't on the show, NCIS somehow ruined Ziva's storyline. In season 13, the show dropped the bombshell that she was killed. That broke a lot of hearts. After not seeing her for so long, all fans got was her death update. Not cool. But they got over it, consoling themselves until showrunner Gary Glasberg teased that David may be alive. Wait, what? Surprisingly, many fans were enraged over it, and rightly so. It felt too hot and cold, like make up your mind, is she dead or not? Finally, season 16 confirmed she was alive, and the actress returned for her character's reunion with Tony and their daughter Tali. As exciting as that was, it came too late, and it's so upsetting, because the ship to redeem this character had sailed a long time ago. On the bright side, at least her loyal agent identity stayed intact throughout the show. But here's some food for thought. Is she really that loyal? Because some people had a hard time believing that they said Ziva can't be trusted. Her loyalties were always divided. When she first joined NCIS, it was only because of her half-brother. David wanted to save him somehow, and refused to believe Ari was a traitor. Or even the fact that he shot NCIS agent Caitlin Todd in cold blood. That was the first sign that her interests lay with her family. Then, when she shockingly discovered that her sibling was indeed the killer, and he was going to kill Gibbs too, she shot Ari. That was a twisted way to win the trust of the NCIS people, but just because a foreign agent saved the team lead's life, will they let another spy agency's officer just walk in and make themselves at home? That too, in an organization that requires top clearance? Yeah, I'm not sold on that, and neither were a lot of fans. It just sounds bizarre. A Mossad liaison to the CIA would have been more believable. Also, one person raised an important question. Don't you have to be a US citizen to be an NCIS agent? Because ally or not, you can't give them open access to all classified information. That's like setting yourself up for blackmail or extortion. But, okay, let's say Ziva wasn't going to do any of that. But then she started seeing the shady Mossad officer Rivkin who tried to kill a US agent in her apartment. If she was so loyal, why did she keep it to herself? Why not share the threat with her team members? And when Tony discovered it all by himself, she denied it and attacked her coworker, insinuating she had the authority to kill him. I don't know about you, but that's sus. So from her questionable loyalty to the team to her over-the-top Wonder Woman persona, those were the real reasons why NCIS's Ziva David is an overrated character.